pues vemos que, lo que les mencionaba hace un momento, de alguna otra forma, cada vez van a haber más políticas.
Este es el compactador, sí, que ayuda a quitar la humedad, ayuda a precalentar el material y lo alimenta forzadamente al extruder.
Continuando con las innovaciones tecnológicas para la fabricación de empaques plásticos, el etiquetado de manga retráctil se ha convertido en una de las tendencias de mayor crecimiento en materia de envases. La última aplicación de tecnología Kejin, relacionada con el desarrollo sostenible en soluciones de empaque.
Bienvenido. Meng presenta al público latinoamericano las innovaciones de termoformado.
Pues vemos que, lo que les mencionaba hace un momento, de alguna otra forma, cada vez van a haber más políticas.
Este es el compactador, sí, que ayuda a quitar la humedad, ayuda a precalentar el material y lo alimenta forzadamente al extruder.
Continuando con las innovaciones tecnológicas para la fabricación de empaques plásticos, el etiquetado de manga retráctil se ha convertido en una de las tendencias de mayor crecimiento en materia de envases. La última aplicación de tecnología Kejin, relacionada con el desarrollo sostenible en soluciones de empaque.
Bienvenido. Meng presenta al público latinoamericano las innovaciones de termoformado.
Simplemente pues vemos que, lo que nos mencionaba hace un momento, de alguna otra forma, cada vez van a haber más políticas.
Este es el compactador, sí, que ayuda a quitar la humedad, ayuda a precalentar el material y lo alimenta forzadamente al extruder.
Continuando con las innovaciones tecnológicas para la fabricación de empaques plásticos, el etiquetado de manga retráctil se ha convertido en una de las tendencias de mayor crecimiento en materia de envases. La última aplicación de tecnología Kejin, relacionada con el desarrollo sostenible en soluciones de empaque.
Bienvenido. Meng Xin presenta al público latinoamericano las innovaciones de termoformado.
Vemos que, lo que nos mencionaba hace un momento, de alguna otra forma, cada vez van a haber más políticas.
Este es el compactador, sí, que ayuda a quitar la humedad, ayuda a precalentar el material y lo alimenta forzadamente al extruder.
Continuando con las innovaciones tecnológicas para la fabricación de empaques plásticos, el etiquetado de manga retráctil se ha convertido en una de las tendencias de mayor crecimiento en materia de envases. La última aplicación de tecnología Kejin, relacionada con el desarrollo sostenible en soluciones de empaque.
Bienvenido. Meng Xin presenta al público latinoamericano las innovaciones de termoformado.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Jack. Before we start this event, I would like to hear your voice. Please let me know if you can hear my voice loud and clear. Say yes or say hi to me in the chat box right now. Hello, yes, love to hear that. Love to see you saying hi to me. And here, on behalf of Ringer Events, welcome all of you. Our event will start now. Thank you. Let's do it. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the ASEAN Personal Care and Cosmetic Packaging Manufacturing Summit 2021. We thank you for joining today's webinar, where we will have interesting presentations from packaging experts who will talk about the latest trends in personal care and cosmetics packaging. As we know, personal care and cosmetics packaging is an important segment of the packaging industry. And those engaged in personal care and cosmetics manufacturing are closely monitoring many new developments in this area to stay competitive. In some markets, personal care is placed or considered as an essential product, and there are existing strict rules when it comes to health and safety in the production and packaging of these personal care products. Also, consumers who purchase personal care and cosmetic products are more often attracted by the appearance of the product packaging, and this certainly helps them in their purchasing decision. So, today we look at the latest material solutions and production technologies that will play a significant role in the production of attractive, safe, and hygienic personal care and cosmetics in Southeast Asia, as well as the rest of the world. The market for personal care and cosmetic packaging is also moving towards sustainability and higher productivity. And these are some of the points that will be discussed today. Before we move on, I would like to show some good tips and the agenda. Before I do that, please, I will remind my assistant, Hazel and Brendan, please do not touch the slides. Okay, let me show you the agenda. Now let's have a rundown of today's agenda. But before we do that, on the screen you can see welcome and feel free to visit our exhibitor booth. On your screen right now, there's a check out the online booth button right up there. If you click that button, I will see it. I will see how many people click that. Now, so please, I will give you 5 seconds. Click that button, online booth now. Great. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Yes, you can, while you listen to my presentation, my opening speech, or the other presentation, you can always feel free to go to that online booth because we prepare all the information for all the speakers today. So take the online booth as a handout manual as a physical event. Use it well so you can get to know them better, and also ask your questions, prepare your questions later to them. We will have a live Q&A session after each presenter's speech. So let's go to the agenda. Now on the agenda, you can see we have 5 speakers, 4 sessions today. We have from Unilever, from Milliken, and also from Avery, Dennison, and also the last we have from Cosmetic. So they will get online and speak to you in person, and they will also answer your questions in person too. So seize your chance, great chance to learn from those experts from the industry. Ask your question in the chat box. I'll show you how. Because to get the most from our webinar today, there are some tips that we need to remember so that we can make the most out from the summit. Now I would like to share my screen and teach you some tips now. On the screen, you can see 2 of me, right? So on your side, just like me, you can use your mouse to drag this AV pod, the speaker profile picture area, everywhere you want, not blocking the center area of the presentation. Or you can click here, there's a dock button. You can fix it right there at top right. On the lower right, that's the chat box function, right? You can ask any question or just leave a comment here as well. If you switch this ask question button on and off, you can notice there's a color change. So if it's blue, you can ask any question. Or if you can just say hi to me, just like in the normal text like that. If you ask any questions, how are you, for example, ending with a question mark, this system will take that sentence, make it into a question, into the blue color. So all of us and all the delegates, they will notice that you ask one question. So they can focus on that and maybe they will answer you later in person. And there's a gear button here and gear button here. So you can check out any other functions as well if you want. I have to say there's even one very good translation function. You can try it later if you want. You can translate all the chat here in the chat box into your own mother tongue language. That's very interesting. So I've said enough. I've said a lot already. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our first speaker. Let's go to our live presentation session. Here is our first speaker. Unilever, Matthew Seal, had been working with Unilever for 8 years. Matthew had been working in several global roles, including packaging, formulation, and marketing. His experience in Unilever includes commitment to no animal testing through a new partnership with PETA. Recently, he moved Vietnam to take the role of beauty and personal care R&D lead. Our first presentation takes a look at sustainable packaging for personal care products and the journey to sustainable packaging of Unilever towards this goal. Let's welcome Matthew Seal, or you can call him Matt, Senior R&D Manager, Beauty Personal Care at Unilever Vietnam. After his presentation, we will go to the live Q&A session. So listen very carefully and prepare a question. And also, I remind you that above your screen, there's an online boost button. You can click that online boost button to find out more information about Unilever. And scroll down. Also, welcome to follow our YouTube channel and LinkedIn. I'll see you later. So, Matt, you can have the floor now. See you later.
Hi everyone, welcome to today's conference. My name is Matt Seal. I am the R&D lead for beauty and personal care in Unilever Vietnam. Today I'm here to talk to you a little bit about our sustainable packaging journey, in particular the road we've been on so far, as well as some of the future challenges that Unilever and many of its partners face. For those of you who don't know a great deal about Unilever, a large number of brands, over 400 brands, serving 2.5 billion consumers every single day. For those of you who will be familiar with some of our biggest brands, Omo, Dove, Ben & Jerry's, Lipton. We also around 160 years old, so been around a long time, started in the Netherlands and in the UK, and spread globally into 190 countries with 170,000 employees. We have 8 R&D centres globally, focusing across beauty, personal care, home care and foods. In particular, one of the things that Unilever is extremely involved in is its role within the plastic and the footprint that it makes because of its plastic as part of the product journey that we have across beauty, personal care, home care and foods. In particular, one of the things that Unilever is extremely involved in is its role within the plastic and the footprint that it makes because of its plastic as part of the product journey that we have. If you understand today, many of you will be familiar with Unilever brands, and therefore you will be also aware that plastic packaging is a common part of what we use and is a common part of FMCG generally. In fact, you'll know some of the staggering statistics. Many of you will be familiar with Unilever brands, and therefore you will be also aware that plastic packaging is a common part of what we use and is a common part of FMCG generally. In fact, you'll know some of the staggering statistics present. 500 million tons of plastic produced annually worldwide, generating significantly more plastic than we ever did before. And those of you will also be familiar with the statistic that by 2050, the expectation is there will be more plastic than fish in the ocean, including significant amounts of plastic in kind of centralized garbage collection areas in the ocean. So given significantly more plastic than we ever did before, and those of you will also be familiar with the statistic that by 2050, the expectation is there will be more plastic than fish in the ocean, including significant amounts of plastic in kind of centralized garbage collection areas in the ocean. So given this huge environmental challenge, both in the oceans, in landfill, and within our day-to-day society. How can we reduce this pollution? How can we turn plastics from something that is a single use, no return to value, to something that becomes a challenge, both in the oceans, in landfill, and within our day-to-day society? How can we reduce this pollution? How can we turn plastics from something that is a single use, no return to value, to something that becomes consistently value seeking and something that we can ensure is closed loop from our day-to-day business? Now, when you enter this problem, you realize that the problem is significantly complex. There is not one person to blame, not one person to fix this. And in fact, there are many different closed loop from our day-to-day business. Now, when you enter this problem, you realize that the problem is significantly complex. There is not one person to blame, not one person to fix this. And in fact, there are many different stakeholders here, each with a slightly different interest in solving the problem. So you'll be aware, obviously, Unilever and many others have a manufacturing interest. They are different interest in solving the problem. So you'll be aware, obviously, Unilever and many others have a manufacturing interest. They are, after all, the makers of the bottles or plastic that we see on a day-to-day basis. We often see governments playing a proactive role here, especially due to consumer pressure, also their environmental impact that they are facing. Consumers themselves have varied interest. Some are extremely active on their environmental impact that they are facing. Consumers themselves have varied interest. Some are extremely active in this space, others a little more passive as to the problem. And their role in recycling is obviously critical, linked to governments and infrastructure. And finally, NGOs also play a vital role in both ensuring education, communication, and holding others to account. However, when we look across Asia, and in particular Southeast Asia, which is the area I'm focused on with Vietnam, it continues today to education and holding others to account. However, when we look across Asia, and in particular Southeast Asia, which is the area I'm focused on with Vietnam, it continues today to be the #1 plastic polluter of the oceans, and that is clearly a huge problem for us to resolve, and it's going to require all of these different groups in order to reach the solution. So Unilever made a commitment a few years back now that was part of our all of these different groups in order to reach the solution. So Unilever made a commitment a few years back now that was part of our Unilever Sustainable Living Plan. This has been a consistent message across the business since 2010, and many of our commitments are focused around plastic and packaging. For those of you who have a deeper interest, we also have several areas focused on around kind of hygiene and well-being, gender equality. These are all in the Unilever open site for you to visit. But today, just focusing on packaging alone, we made our commitments focused around plastic and packaging. For those of you who have a deeper interest, we also have several areas focused on around kind of hygiene and well-being, gender equality. These are all in the Unilever open site for you to visit. But today, just focusing on packaging alone, we made 3 key commitments. So we said we will cut the use of new plastic, so virgin plastic, in half. So that's 100,000 tonnes from the metric benchmark that we set. And in particular, that will come from either reduction of plastic commitments. So we said we will cut the use of new plastic, so virgin plastic, in half. So that's 100,000 tonnes from the metric benchmark that we set. And in particular, that will come from either reduction of plastic or use of recycled plastic. If we then think about the second target, was to ensure that every single piece of plastic packaging that we had was either reusable, recyclable, or compostable. And we'll talk a little bit about that and what that means. And then finally, to collect and process more than we sell. So we had was either reusable, recyclable, or compostable. And we'll talk a little bit about that and what that means. And then finally, to collect and process more than we sell. So clearly the ones on the left are focused more around the products that we make and how we make them, as well as then the infrastructure with consumers and governments to ensure that these things can be collected and recycled. We're actually the piece on the right hand side here is really focused on ensuring a closed loop, ensuring that recycled plastic is a viable commercial entity, that there are infrastructures across different types of packaging, and there is a general that these things can be collected and recycled. Where actually the piece on the right hand side here is really focused on ensuring a closed loop, ensuring that recycled plastic is a viable commercial entity, that there are infrastructures across different types of packaging, and there is a genuine waste stream across different countries. Now, that is a significant challenge, and again, we'll talk a little about that today. So when we talk about this from an R&D perspective, we created this strategy across different countries. Now, that is a significant challenge, and again, we'll talk a little about that today. So when we talk about this from an R&D perspective, we created this strategy on the back of this, and this fundamentally has three key pillars. So the first is less plastics, the second is better plastics, and the third is no plastics. And you'll explain the details here a little bit more. So when we talk about better plastics, and the third is no plastics, and you'll explain the details here a little bit more. So when we talk about less plastic, we talk about this really in three key ways. Okay, so the most obvious one, and the one that will be kind of most familiar to those of you as consumers, is lightweighting. So and the one that will be kind of most familiar to those of you as consumers is lightweighting. So the removal of possibly unnecessary or large amounts of packaging where you could possibly shave off a certain amount. And for example, we've done that today with many of our Dove bottles receiving around 15% reduction in weight through partnership with our suppliers, through the development and technical work of our packaging teams. So clearly reducing the amount of plastic per unit is a significant saving on several of our brands. Now, along with this, there needs to be other parts of reducing that plastic in terms of generating a plastic saving and reducing that overall number that we see. Concentration is one way. So concentration through producing a product that is a higher density for the value in terms of a formulation saving and reducing that overall number that we see. Concentration is one way. So concentration through producing a product that is a higher density for the value in terms of a formulation. So an example here would be Persil. Several years ago, we developed a technology where we looked at being able to concentrate the liquid in the detergent, which means that consumers therefore didn't have to use as much. A technology where we looked at being able to concentrate the liquid in the detergent, which means that consumers therefore didn't have to use as much detergent to get the same amount of value, and therefore we were able to reduce our packaging alongside that to concentrate the product, and therefore no longer to sell such large bottles. And recently we've done this in beauty and personal care as well through our brand Love Beauty and Planet. Again, beauty and personal care as well through our brand Love Beauty and Planet. Again, the same principle, concentrating the formulation to ensure that the packaging itself then needs to be of a smaller total amount. Finally, one of the more underappreciated ones, but really does require a great deal of kind of technical thinking, is the harmonization. So the idea that you look for structures within your portfolio that are potentially slightly naturally lighter. So the idea that you look for structures within your portfolio that are potentially slightly naturally lighter, slightly in terms of shapes that are aesthetically lighter, but also still high quality. So you reduce your overall complexity, you increase the use of lighter packs, and therefore by ensuring a consistent harmonization approach, for example on our two brands complexity, you increase the use of lighter packs, and therefore by ensuring a consistent harmonization approach, for example on our two brands here, Lifebuoy and Suave. They are in completely different markets, but using the same principles we can design them to be a reduced footprint. Better plastic is clearly a huge agenda. So if you think about the challenge of plastic, many consumers and many manufacturers need to use plastic. It's fundamentally a efficient material with better plastic is clearly a huge agenda. So if you think about the challenge of plastic, many consumers and many manufacturers need to use plastic. It's fundamentally a efficient material with a lot of value in terms of robustness and quality, and it can produce very easily. However, in terms of better plastic, there are three real ways to fix that. One is recycled content. So this will be a key agenda that and it can produce very easily. However, in terms of better plastic, there are three real ways to fix that. One is recycled content. So this will be a key agenda that you'll see across many companies, and significantly increasing the amount of recycled content in our bottles, in our packs is a vital agenda. You know, using less and less virgin plastic, using more and more recycled plastic is a key part of that. And then you'll see that across many of our and less virgin plastic, using more and more recycled plastic is a key part of that. And then you'll see that across many of our brands in our portfolio today. The second piece is localization of that plastic. So really one of the key challenges is country to country infrastructure and collection of plastic varies greatly. Many markets in the West, the US, Europe, in particular the Nordics and Germany, have really established plastic collection schemes, which means that generating recycled plastic and through of plastic varies greatly. Many markets in the West, the US, Europe, in particular the Nordics and Germany, have really established plastic collection schemes, which means that generating recycled plastic and through a closed loop model is relatively achievable. However, when you move further east, and in particular D&E markets, developing and emerging markets where infrastructure may not be there may not be a collection mechanism established between consumer to collector to recycler, localization and building local capability is really key. So not only is that about building capability of a country, but also about building local capability. Therefore, you should not be really. However, when you move further east, and in particular D&E markets, developing and emerging markets where infrastructure may not be there may not be a collection mechanism established between consumer to collector to recycler, localization and building local capability is really key. So not only is that about building capability of a country, but also about building local capability. Therefore, you should not be really importing plastic from different markets. That clearly is not not the right thing to be doing, and therefore the local production of recycled plastic is a key agenda for us. And finally, when we talk about recyclable, this is clearly a critical agenda for us, and therefore ensuring that as many packs as are possible are as recyclable. Now, some of these structures are naturally quite recyclable, so you think about things such as plastic bottles, HDPE, PET. For those who are interested in the beverage industry, you imagine a Coke bottle or a Pepsi bottle. These companies will obviously use PET, and often they have established waste collection streams as a result due to their volume. However, certain packs are slightly harder, don't necessarily have an inherent value, so delivering things such as films, certain types of plastic material that aren't so easily collected, much more challenging, and therefore you have to ensure that you're building the infrastructure and collection capability as well as thinking about your material choices. A prime example of where we're at today is the development of a mono-material single-use laminate. So for those of you who are familiar, many consumers in South Asia and Southeast Asia use sachets. So these are single-use, often shampoo or detergent that the consumer can use at a very effective value for them and convenient size. However, traditionally these materials are not made of single materials, they're made of multiple plastic materials, which means them increasingly difficult to recycle. Here in Vietnam, for example, we've developed a single material sachet that is enable us to hopefully deliver more recyclable packs to the marketplace. And this is a type of ongoing commitment that's going across multiple business sectors. And finally, when we talk about plastic, the obvious goal is no plastic. And clearly this is a really key agenda for us as well, and requires some really disruptive thinking about how we can solve this problem, working with lots of different people. There is obviously no plastic in the sense of moving to things such as card or board. We've done that recently in our brand Love Beauty and Planet, I showcased a little bit earlier, and this brand here has developed a shampoo bar that can be used with cardboard packaging, and therefore this is a great solution to completely remove the need for plastic within the value chain. The second option is to think about how you can partner with consumers and utilize in particular more digital approaches such as direct to consumer, so people who maybe buy a subscription, buy through application, buy through maybe some form of media content, and they may be able to buy a regular purchase of a product that can then be refilled by the manufacturer. And we do this actually in the USA at the moment with our Loop technology, so working in partnership with Loop, and Unilever therefore looks at things like deodorants on a repeatable purchase model with the consumer. They can send back this reusable pack, we will then refill it and then send it back to them. So a really good model for thinking about really high quality packaging that lasts. And finally, refillable. And this again is about going back to that kind of, we call it like the milk bottle model. For those of you who are used to it in Europe, where you would have something you would go and deliver, somebody would then refill that for you at a central point and then go back and collect it again. So again, the scale of these is often the challenge, but certainly really exciting opportunities for big cities where you can go and take your bottle, a permanent bottle or even a normal bottle, refill it with whatever product you want, and then take it back home. Giving you a really nice opportunity for choice at sale without needing to think about the packaging. Fundamentally, you need to understand the consumer here in order to achieve many of our goals. And so actually, you need to break the consumer down beyond just one consumer. We know that the consumer is increasingly complex, and therefore their demands is extremely different depending on the type of person they are, the journey that they're on in life, and their individual approach and ethics towards things such as plastic. So if we take the way we've segmented it here at Unilever, one area is called the ecoactives. So these consumers are a real voice, a real passion for sustainability initiatives, and they're really willing to change what they do and what they buy in order to be more sustainable. So that might be, let's say, they're using refill cups rather than single-use cups. Maybe they're thinking about their overall footprint from their daily household environmental footprint. Maybe they travel more sustainably, maybe they eat more sustainably. That really is embedded into their life and their thinking. And these consumers are willing to change their life and their approach to life in order to be more ecologically and sustainably driven. And these consumers in particular are going to lean towards things such as no plastics. Fundamentally, those ecoactive consumers will correlate plastics not always as a good thing, and therefore no plastic is seen as a potential differentiator. Okay, and therefore less and better plastic, while still attractive, will not be that attractive compared to the no plastic unless there is a significant disruption versus the marketplace norm. Eco-considerers, so this is about very much the consumer who really does believe that sustainability is the right thing to do, but sometimes struggles to understand where can they make the most impact, what can they do, and really don't necessarily know sometimes about what is going to make the most impact and what potentially is just something that maybe they're being told to do. This type of consumer is actually open to a lot of different ideas. And in particular, one of the things that they talk about, these consumers, is around if it's very clear as to the benefit of this, and it's very clear that I'm still going to receive a high quality product, I'm willing to make that change. And therefore, it's often about understanding the communication and the quality here. And in particular, less and better plastic are great solutions, especially if you can really focus on delivering a big impact in that less and better plastic space. No plastic can be attractive also, but clearly, as we've seen from some of the examples here, no plastic can often require a significant consumer change, which often challenges the performance standards that this consumer is used to. And finally, eco-dismissers. Now, this is your consumer who fundamentally says, I'm not sure, I don't believe there's an impact here, or I don't know my personal impact is very big, therefore I want to kind of proceed as current. Or maybe even they know the impact is there, but they believe the responsibility is not upon them, but on other people around them, such as manufacturers, such as governments. Now, this consumer is again willing to engage in less and better plastic solutions, but needs to ensure that their experience today remains the same. So therefore, ensuring that they see that either the same type of product or improved product versus before is going to help them make that choice and make them make that move without seeing a negative in their life. Now, this size of each consumer group changes significantly by country. Yeah, so there is not a one rule fits all here, that this country is like this and this country is like that. So, and also consumers in different countries are going through rapid change, and so obviously the general shift you see is more towards ecoactives with younger populations that are more engaged. But this is not a golden rule, and so certain markets have a high number of ecoactives, while other markets really struggle with a very small percentage of ecoactives, and that again is part of the learning that we need to do country by country in order to develop the right products for the right consumer that's going to make the biggest environmental impact. As well as the primary packaging that we think about with consumers today, we also have to think about what goes beyond the primary pack. So actually, consumers don't really see so much of the non-primary pack. So the occasional consumer maybe sees something in a secondary carton, but tertiary packaging, shrink wrap, bulk labeling, the way we palletize packs, these are all really, really important elements of the footprint. So although the main use, and certainly within Unilever, is the primary packaging due to the products that we sell, again, there is still a huge impact to be had within secondary and tertiary pack, in particular things like flexibles and films, as well as paper and board, around how we can either source paper and board sustainably, or how we can ensure that our film is recycled or reused, or even reduce it altogether. So really critical role, and sometimes these are sometimes easier impacts because the consumer does not need to necessarily be adjusted to these changes, okay, but really important nevertheless. And when we think about this, the overall goal here is circularity and a circular economy. So this is not a single approach of one manufacturer saying, okay, we need to do these things to our packaging and everything will get fixed. As I alluded to a little bit earlier, actually, a lot of the challenges are not always consumer facing. Infrastructure, either from suppliers or from governments in terms of the infrastructure and collection. Not even sometimes is it government role, maybe it's even local council, local, city to city variability. How to ensure reliable collection and segregation of waste, again, not an easy challenge. How do you ensure that waste delivers a value to somebody? I think one of the greatest learnings that we've certainly had is that, waste and collection and segregation can be there if somebody has a benefit of that. So ensuring that people are paid, ensuring that there's a benefit to them financially to do this or to set up businesses involved in this is really critical to Unilever's partnership going forward. And therefore you start to build that collection and segregation waste stream, which then allows you in turn to kind of clean, to ensure there's a kind of wash process to collect that waste, to tidy it up, to enable you to recover the value of that, depending on whatever plastic it is or whatever you're trying to recover. Obviously, the overall goal is increasing the amount of recycled and recovered materials reduces our dependence on raw materials from non-renewable sources. Yeah, so actually, it's a really holistic approach and technically challenging regarding the recycling industry, combined with then ensuring there's a reduced use of packaging throughout the value chain, giving consumers choice and options to reduce their footprint, and finally ensuring that even the consumer who maybe is not so engaged and does not want to collect that waste in their own way or segregate it, that there is an infrastructure mechanism there to help do that for them and then to recapture as much as possible. It's really vital. I have to think within the context of Southeast Asia, in particular, there are kind of three real commitments we've been focusing on here. One is a really strong commitment to plastics in the ecosystem. So this is ensuring that we're really saying we're going to make long-term plans to deliver value through plastics that ensure circularity. Yeah. So this is not a kind of do one element and don't do the others. We have to ensure that you're fully invested with your people, with your time, and with your leadership to fix all of these different elements. And as I alluded to already, it really also thinks about the plastic type in the country with the challenges there. The second piece, a little bit to the point I mentioned about developing kind of value and an economic solution to this, is by Unilever taking responsibility to create demand along with several of its other partners for recycled resin, for recyclable materials. That in turn helps make that change. If you can start to generate a business model for this, then therefore it becomes much more repeatable. And clearly the last thing is you need to ensure collaboration. You know, it does not matter about any one company here, or any one person. It's about ensuring an open dialogue between as many companies as possible to find as many solutions. You know, there are many companies, but there are only certain many types of packaging, certain many types of products. So actually in that sense, there is a huge ability if manufacturers, if consumers, if NGOs, if governments can collaborate together, then we ensure that the packaging solutions are as effective as possible and as scalable as possible. So just two examples here of our chairman in Thailand, Mr. Rob Candelino, and our chairwoman in Vietnam, Chi Vic Nam. These are two really important stakeholders for us, ensuring that we have this open dialogue with as many people as possible. And therefore that's really key for us to deliver as much of the program as we can. And finally, I touch on a little bit around partners. Partners do not forget about here. So this is also about partners across the value chain. I've just highlighted 2 or 3 partners here that are really important to us. So actually we see massively in certain markets, retailers are a really key partner. They ensure that we can work together to reduce our footprint with them. They also have really key goals to manage their footprint, and that's really vital that they're partners along that journey, and they also help consumers make that change. So the retail to consumer link is vital. You know, without retailers engaging consumers, those packaging solutions that are more sustainable aren't always so viable. Consumers working with governments is also key. Inherently, governments are held accountable to the people that they look after, and consumers being vocal about making change, having opinions, a kind of overall shift to more ecologically aware society helps governments then make that change accordingly. Governments then working with manufacturers. You know, governments can also hold manufacturers to account. Manufacturers can also help governments ensure that they reach targets that are collaborative across groups. Finally, manufacturers working with recyclers. So obviously here, you know, manufacturers have a key role to play ensuring that there is that closed loop. At the end of the day, the manufacturers make the material, but if they want to close that loop and demand that recycled material back, the recycler is fundamentally critical to this. And then within that, the recyclers and supplier relationship is also very key. So obviously with many manufacturers, there are often plastic suppliers in terms of making the individual material. So the technical relationship between recyclers and suppliers is also key, ensuring that the material that's collected can actually be reused and has significantly high value to then go back into that manufacturing retail environment again. Without this, there is no circularity, and so Unilever's work in particular is to work with all of these partners and ensure that they are as clear as possible on achieving their goals and going with us along that journey. And finally, for me to end today, you know, I think we can all make a difference, and you know, so you can make a difference, Unilever can make a difference, all play a really vital role. And in particular, I thought one of the quotes from Sydney Smith here that's great: it is the greatest of all mistakes to do nothing, because you can only do little. So we can all do a little, and in particular, the key part is ensuring that within Unilever and ethos that people can all do their part, and certainly that's one of our key goals going forward. Thank you very much.
I have to say, delegates, I'm very happy to see that in the chat box during his presentation, during Matt's presentation, there was great discussion. And I would like to invite Matthew. Let's attend our Q&A session right now. Please, Matthew, go to our blue background Q&A mode and publish the questions. Let's discuss it.
Hi there. Hello, everyone. So yes, I will publish a few of the questions. It's good to see so many questions coming in. So let me move one across. So from Nick here, it says, in your product portfolio, how is the split between flexible plastics, rigid plastics, and other materials? So this does vary country to country. I would say in some markets, we have roughly in beauty and personal care, my department, somewhere between kind of 30 and 50% flexible. So this involves things such as the sachets, but also pouches, and then the rest is rigid, generally speaking. That does change market to market. But as you can see, flexible is in particular a reasonably large footprint, both in terms of single use and also in terms of refill pouches. If I publish the next one.
Yes, sure.
Which plastic materials are particularly challenging to Unilever? So, of course, materials that aren't recyclable are fundamentally challenging to Unilever. So those involve things such as tubes or laminates and flexibles. So these materials, the fundamental goal of these is to ensure that they're recyclable. As I talked a little in my presentation, that does not just involve the manufacturer kind of making a technical solution. Often you need to build infrastructure alongside that. And so inherently a challenge is therefore you have to spend a lot of time in collaboration with others. And that's really important. But these are the big challenges that we have to go after. Obviously, some of the solutions are a little bit easier. And we know that's why, many of us can do that in certain scales. Let me go down to the next one.
Yes.
How do we rank the three that I talked about? This is very difficult. And I think, look, so for me, better plastics is a really key pillar for me personally. And I think turning plastic away from single use into multiple use. I saw some of the comments in the conversation that, this idea that we can make plastic a more reusable item is the big shift. Actually, fundamentally, majority of plastic is not reused at all. If you can shift that model to one of much more reuse, you start to inherently put it nearer the value of other materials, such as glass, such as paper and board. And that's a real challenge. Of course, the other pillars, less plastic is almost a no-brainer. I think, you use less of the material that you struggle to close the loop over in the short term while you close that loop. No plastics is a really interesting agenda. And I saw some of the comments in the chat there that there are inherent challenges to no plastics. Moving to alternative materials does not solve the problem necessarily. But therefore, one of the key actions is now we know so much more than we did maybe 50 years ago when the plastic kind of revolution started. You certainly know that moving to new materials, you have to make those conscious choices up front. So if you're going to move to paper and board, you're going to move to glass, you have to ensure that these things also are still closed loop. You can't just push the problem elsewhere. So inherently, we also have targets around things like paper and board, things like glass. So it's not just saying that we're accountable on plastics, but we're also accountable on other areas as well. And obviously, it's really critical to ensuring that. If we go to the next one,
before you pick the next one, before we go to the next one, I have to say the next one might be our last question.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's publish the latest question that I got then. So from Isaac, everyone knows that the best solution is no plastic. In terms of brands' impact and ability, you can really reduce in the direction of no plastic. Do you actually have a plan on this? Yeah, so of course, where we talked a little in the earlier presentation about these consumers that are eco-actives, and they're in particular the voice of change. So the key is engaging this consumer group to the no plastic agenda, because if you can get these involved, and we all know a friend like this, if you're not that person yourself, who really embeds the ethics of environmental sustainability in their life, these consumers will drive the no plastic agenda. But inherently, because you're asking for consumer change, you have to start somewhere. And it does not mean that you move the whole business to no plastic within, the next 5 months. It doesn't work that way. I think in reality, you need to take consumers along that journey. So you get the right solutions there, and then you can scale those solutions with the consumer as you educate them, as you get their voice kind of heard even more. Inherently, this is like any kind of trend. If you start the trend small with the most vocal group, the group that are most willing to change, inherently that can have a ripple effect on the rest of society. And in this sense, the no plastic agenda is a really positive ripple effect. And that also then ensures that companies like Unilever can scale that solution over time. But yeah, I think it's a really important challenge. And the no plastics, of course, is a long-term agenda that's the right place for many organizations.
Okay.
Yeah. To anywhere, to any country, any area as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
So thank you for your time, for your great presentation, and also your live Q&A session too. So in the end, please make a short conclusion and also say goodbye to the delegates today, Matt.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining and listening. I hope you found some of it useful and it gives you some kind of insight as to kind of the world that is at Unilever here. Obviously, the goal overall is to really create a closed economy for plastics and turn it from that single-use problem that we have over the last 50 years into one that becomes a real economically viable solution, whether that's no less or better plastics. So yes, I hope you found it useful, and I wish everyone all the best and maybe connect with you soon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Delegates also saying goodbye to Matt, and we hope to see you in our future events too, Matt. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye now.
And also, Matt, if you want, because delegates in his presentation last slide, he showed his contact information, I think. So Matt, if you want, you can also leave the contact information in the chat box, so the other delegates might have further discussion with you, or they can discuss with your organizers too. Okay, anyway, let's move on to the next presenters. Let's welcome the second speaker, Darell John Chung from Milliken. Experienced in 10 years in sales and marketing, starting from sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that right, but I'll try my best. From Mitsu Chemicals, recognized as the packaging material generalist with a strong knowledge of polymer, Darell is a certified packaging professional with the Institute of Packaging Professionals and a member of the Australian Institute of Packaging too. So let's welcome him. Our next presentation looks at material innovations and how these can affect the packaging sector. Let's hear it from Darell John Chung, Sustainable Packaging Manager of Milliken Asia. Okay, Darell, you have the floor now. And before Darell, just a moment, before he give us his presentation, delegates, don't forget, we have the online booth there above on the screen. Please click the button and find more information about the speaker, and also prepare your question as well. And we will have a live Q&A at the end. Darell gonna answer your questions in person too. Okay, if you can, also follow our LinkedIn and YouTube too. See you later. Darell, you have the floor now.
Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to say greetings from Singapore. As you can see, I'm working today from the comfort of my own home, as many of us are due to this pandemic. I would first like to thank Ringers for the opportunity to present at today's conference. My presentation today will be on materials innovation, a transparent future. The contents of my presentation will be as follows. I'll start with a company introduction, share a little bit about the importance of transparency, list a few major transparent materials, this shows some of the new developments in clarifying agents, and a little bit on the case studies of replacements. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce my company. Milliken is one of the largest private chemical companies in the world. We have 7,300 associates over 65 locations globally. Our areas of expertise include chemical, flooring, healthcare, and textiles. Our key purpose is together we strive to positively impact the world around us for generations to come. Our values include integrity, excellence, innovation, sustainability, and empowering our people. Let's start off with some of the key trends affecting personal care today. Based on a study by Euromonitor, we can see there are 4 major trends: the change of habits in developing markets, eco-friendly packaging, convenience of use, as well as value for money. Beginning with change of habits in developing countries, consumers are slowly moving away from single-use flexible plastics and increasingly adopting bottles and squeezable plastic tubes. The reasons for this range from increased disposable income, leading to the widening of the middle income group, to the fact that the same volume bottles are actually often cheaper. The use of greener packaging materials are on the rise. From several polls made in ASEAN by McKinsey and others, we note that the interest in sustainable packaging is increasing significantly. I think it's pretty evident that sustainability is not just a trend, but a future direction we will all follow, hopefully sooner rather than later. One good point about it is that consumers are actually willing to pay for sustainable packaging, and this has been shown in certain countries. The convenience of use. On the convenience of use, consumers are looking for functional packaging, things that make their lives a little bit easier. And lastly, we have to ensure that all these can be packaged into an affordable solution designed for our region. All this might be stating the obvious in a literal sense. Consumers like transparency in product packaging and let them see what is inside the package. They like looking inside without having to open it. It gives them clues like, hey, it's now time to buy a new bottle, or hey, there's a little bit more inside which I should be finishing up. Ensuring that the least waste is generated. Brand owners can also see this as an opportunity to leverage transparency in their products, to use color to convey the brand message. Additionally, the high gloss offered by PP can enhance the aesthetics and overall look of the package. Not just transparency in the literal sense, but also brands are being more open about what's in or not in their products. We asked the major brand owners why this is happening, and they explained to us that this has become a necessity that originated with social media. Posts like top 5 ingredients you should avoid in your makeup or shampoo, formaldehyde and dioxin scares, which have created a gap in trust between brands and the consumers. Brands are doing all they can to restore this consumer confidence, and packaging transparency is a way of saying, hey, I have nothing to hide. From an industry point of view, many of us know there are 3 major factors contributing to less than optimal recycling volume. These include lack of government regulations, lack of recycling infrastructure, and lack of economic incentive. We know that 1 and 2 are currently being addressed from the number of recycling facilities popping up like mushrooms in the region, to EPR type regulations which we hear about being looked at by almost every country in ASEAN in one form or another. Where we can support this move, I believe, is number 3, or increasing the value of materials being collected at up to 60% of the premium of opaque polymers. Transparent polymers are very much desired. So with so many options of transparent materials, how do we choose? We have glass, we have PET, we have PS, we have PP. I would personally say it boils down to a couple of factors. These being fit for purpose or fit for use, weight, cost, sustainability. I mean, these are the 4 factors which will help us determine. So let's start with glass. We know glass is not compatible with e-commerce packaging for a variety of reasons, including heavy weight, the higher carbon footprint, the risk of breakage, and brand risk associated with all these challenges. Ultra Clear PP addresses all 4 of these hurdles with a more sustainable and robust packaging option. While public perception is of course important, I'm happy to see the increased use of LCAs as a more scientific measure of sustainability. And when you run LCA analysis, you find that the weight differential heavily influences the LCA ratings. In the typical polypropylene versus glass LCA, PP is often advantaged by 15 out of the 16 environmental categories, including CO2 emissions or climate change. On average, PP is advantaged by 60% over glass. I know this is a very messy slide, and I promise I won't go into too much detail. As you can see, we actually ran different end-of-life scenarios to see if glass could ever have a more positive story than polypropylene. And even when glass uses 100% recycled material and is recycled 100% at the end of life, versus virgin PP which was not recycled end of life, we found that PP is still advantaged in 7 categories, with just 3 advantage with glass. Let's move on. The issue with PS is a tad different. Its main issue is its recycle rate. While this information is based in the US, cases of PS recycling in this region is just as, if not more rare. A lot of the brand owners are shifting away from polystyrene for this exact same reason. Furthermore, once you adjust for density, meaning the number of units, PP can be cheaper by up to 50% in comparison to PS. Lastly, looking once again at the LCA comparison of the two, we can see PP clearly has advantages here too. Up to 11 out of 16 impact categories favor PP. Next, I'll speak a little on PET. When replacing PET with PP, there are two major benefits. The first being overall lightweighting. As you can see in the picture on the left, PP is actually up to 20% lighter weight, enabling the production of more bottles for the same quantity of plastic. The other is being able to have the entire packaging out of the same material. As you can see of the image on the right, you can have PP cap, PP InMold label, as well as PP bottle, and this actually is beneficial to the recyclers, not having to detach all these different components during processing. The main factor influencing PP's advantage over PET and LCA boils down to lightweighting. Additionally, PP has 24% lower carbon footprint as compared to PET. We always hear how PET is praised for being recyclable, but is it? When we did a search in Thailand, we found that for non-bottle PET packaging waste, there's limited acceptance from Thai recyclers. Some reasons which make it difficult to recycle include mixed viscosity of PET resin used, colors and printing, label adhesives, so on and so forth. Not all PET waste is suitable for injection molding. Colored PET is not suitable for fiber and bottle applications as well. Rigid PP tin wall injection molding packaging has got far wider acceptance of the waste recyclers and recyclers as it can go to injection molding applications. Another interesting phenomenon that is observed when PET is replaced by PP is that we found that PP detergents and soap tend to dispense close to twice as fast, leading to more convenience in use. Additionally, there tends to be less leftover content after dispensing, and this leads to opportunity for waste reduction. One of the issues we have identified is that while all of us here are working towards developing more and better sustainable solutions, how do we get the acknowledgement of our consumers? As mentioned earlier, our consumers are willing to buy because it's sustainable. So how do we actually show this to them? Milliken worked together with underwriters laboratories to obtain the UL label. We can and have supported brands to get this labeling as well. When PP modified with our material is being used, we can actually see a 10% reduction in CO2 emissions, 10% energy savings, and based on 8 kilotons per annum PP, savings up to 74 acres of forest per year, and savings up to 68 cars running per year. So how do we improve the energy savings and reduce cycle time required to obtain this UL label? To explain this, I will have to first start with introducing our latest clarifier, NX8000. With NX8000, we are able to reduce the temperature of the process while maintaining the high clarity required of the products. This shift in processing temperature enables the reduced cycle time for the converters and overall reducing the energy cost and increasing productivity. As you can see, NX8000 enables a much improved haze in PP, which is suitable for a wide range of applications. Additionally, it helps the reduction in void formation in PP parts, improving overall aesthetics. all while doing this at a lower processing temperature as compared to previous generations of clarifiers. As you can see in the images, the above images are using NX8000, the first two mainly showing the difference in clarity with the traditional clarifier products, and for the last one showing that it can avoid voids. Okay, next we are also able to calculate the cost savings per 1,000 metric tons for various different applications, allowing not only for improved quality, but also a possible cost savings. For example, if we look at the dispensing pump unit, we can improve the cycle time by 13%, thousands of hours saved in manufacturing, 236,000 euros in savings, reduction in 9.1% in CO2 emissions, so on and so forth. For closures, for example, tube closures, we can see a savings of up to close to €500,000 per 1,000 metric tons of PP. Similar, NX8000 is the next generation of clarifiers to close the gap between clear glass polymers, so-called water white, and should provide exciting new growth opportunities for PP and material substitutions. It can enable a better balance of properties among stiffness, impact, clarities, and cost during design. As you can see, the rough haze for clarified PP for the new generation for random copolymer as well as homocopolymer ranges from 4 to 7. Next, I would like to share some examples of the various products in the cosmetic and personal care industry using our clarifiers around the region. Firstly, I think this is quite a brilliant development. We're substituting glass with clarified PP. The reason for the glass replacement was to actually avoid the consumer being scratched by the glass, which I used to be a medic in the army, and it happens more often than you want to, getting cut by the ampules. Next, I would like to talk a little bit about Dove's direction. They wanted a premium quality marketing strategy to create a design refresh with frosted in combination with excellent transparency, and that's why PP was selected. One of our developments in Indonesia for a hand gel made with aloe vera, we achieved good clarity as well as the contents were easily seen, and overall we exhibited lightweighting. Next, I'll talk a little bit about Himalaya. Himalaya used PP clarified with NX8000 to ensure that they had high productivity, energy conservation, cycle time reduction, while maintaining fantastic aesthetics. The drivers for Nihar's Naturals was similarly high productivity and energy conservation, cycle time reduction, while maintaining excellent aesthetics. Last one is a development by Nivea. Similarly, they had premium quality marketing strategy, and they wished to have a design refresh with frosted in combination with excellent transparency. Conclusion. We at Milliken believe that transparency is the right way forward in achieving improved brand recognition, consumer trust, and improved recycling premiums for collectors. We are always willing to support our brand owners, converters, and resin manufacturers to achieve the goals towards a more sustainable future. Please feel free to reach out to me. My LinkedIn QR code is attached, and my contact details are in this slide as well when you receive it. If you have any questions, I'll be looking forward to it during the Q&A session. Thank you very much.
Hi, Darell. Sorry if I cut your microphone that soon. But now I would like to invite you to come back, open your microphone and camera. Let's join the live Q&A. Okay, I'll delete the question from previous speaker. Okay, Darell, you're unmute. Yes, great.
Hello. Yeah.
So please take a look at the Q&A mode now.
Yes, sure. Okay, let me publish first question. Is NX8000 available only for resin manufacturers, or can it be added at the converters as well? So for NX8000, we do have a master batch, so it's also applicable for converters. So if you're a converter and you wish to incorporate NX8000 into your formulations, do let us know, and we'll be happy to support you. Okay.
Okay, that's short. Let's go to the next one.
Move on to the next one. Is it possible to replace PET with high clarity PP, copolyester market, and to meet similar transparency in PP? How do you see transparent tin wall product markets? Actually, we have done a lot of work in tin wall injection molding type products, and PP is especially suitable for these kind of applications. For thicknesses below 1.5 millimeters, you can get fantastic clarity. By the way, the slide which I showed earlier, that was based on 1.5 millimeters. If you go down to 0.6, you can get haze much significantly lower. Thank you. Okay.
Let's go to the next one.
To the next one. Okay. For the slide on the faster flow of shampoo, do you know why this happens? This is based on the polarity between difference between PP and PET. For PET, it tends to be polar, so that has some sort of sticking effect to the detergents and soaps. Whereas for PP, it's a non-polar polymer, so it actually slides off significantly easier. Okay. Moving on.
Yeah, your answers are pretty sure. So I think we can answer many questions today.
All right. Okay. Other than clarifiers, does Milliken sell any barrier enhancing solutions? Actually, we are working with quite a few people at the moment on improving the OTR of tubes. So this is by changing the shoulders of the tubes, basically. So if you do need to improve the overall oxygen barrier for your tubes, we do have solutions available. So yeah, feel free to look us up. The material, by the way, is called UltraGuard.
Okay, go to the next one. Right after I said we could have more questions, there are two more questions coming up. Delegates, thanks to you. But yeah, let's try the best, okay, Mr. Darell?
Yeah. Okay, which is more heat resistant, PP material or PE material? We have product using PP, but it bulged after 2 weeks, accelerated in 50-degree heat. Okay, in terms of heat resistance, PP is definitely going to be better than PE. However, it depends on which grades of PP you're using and whether you're using any modifiers inside, especially impact modifiers. Certain impact modifiers have a lower melting point, and if you're using a lower melting point impact modifier, it will influence the overall properties. Feel free to contact me and we can discuss this a little bit more in detail.
Yeah, I'm afraid that it was too quick a while ago. They didn't screenshot your QR code and the contact information. If you want, you can still share those information later in the chat box, okay?
Okay, yeah, I'll put my phone number in the chat box as well, just in case.
Right after your live Q&A. Let's focus on the next question now.
Okay. Next question. Sorry.
We probably can have two more questions now. It's the second to the last now.
Second to last, okay. Any barrier enhancements for special PP containers that make it appropriate for food product content? Is it in general shorter shelf life than HBPC product? Sorry, I'm not too sure what you mean by HBPC. I think that's...
Yeah, to Sanika, if you can, please more clarify your terms here. So Mr. Darell can answer that.
You can try to clarify. I'll move on to the next question first.
I will not count this one. Okay, still two more.
Thank you. Okay, is NX8000 recyclable like conventional PP, and do you have any plans to make biodegradable PP? Is that a solution of plastic issues to environment? Okay, thank you very much, Isaac, for this question. NX8000 does not influence recyclability at all for PP, so your PP will be just as recyclable as when you started. There are some solutions which are trying to look at biodegradable PP, so-called oxy-biodegradable for PP, and in my personal opinion, that should not be the direction forward. What we should actually try to achieve is a circular economy so that your PP can be recycled, they can be taken back by the recyclers and actually processed. Because if you actually have PP which is biodegradable as well, this might actually contaminate the recycling chain. And if this actually contaminates the recycling chain, all in all, you end up with a worse scenario than you begin with.
I see. I suggest we could go back to the previous question because the Tanika already answered. HBPC product was home care, beauty, and personal care products.
Oh, all right. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Tanika.
Can you find a question?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Okay, barrier enhancements for special PP containers that make it appropriate. Yes, if you wish to make barrier enhancements for PP, it is possible, but this will not be only using PP. There are other options using, for example, EVOH to modify it as in one of the layers. These are what they call multi-layer containers. And if you keep your EVOH to roughly about 5%, even with the content of Thai resin, so on and so forth, you can have it still being approved as mono material and being able to be processed together with the rest of PP material. So it does not affect PP processing as determined by the recyclers. So yes, it is possible, and to actually achieve barrier with PP as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Darell. I have to say that will be our last question. And also, Isaac also replied your answer a while ago in the chat box. So maybe you later can have a discussion later.
Yes,
so,
sure.
But right now, since you have your conclusion on your last slide already, I will just simply ask you to sum up your presentation today and also say goodbye to the delegates.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, for allowing me to present today. Thank you to Ringers. It was a pleasure having this opportunity. And I would like all you to consider what is the best solution possible for your containers. And if Milliken can support you, do feel free to contact us. We work with many producers around the region, around the world, actually. So feel free to give me a call and let's have a discussion together.
Great. Okay. If you want, you can leave your contact information later in the chat box. And Mr. Darell John, looking forward to see you in your future events. See you. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. See you.
All right. Now, delegates, thank you for asking all these questions and I have to say, great discussion. The momentum, the power is so nice, I have to say. But let's continue, make this power continue to the next speaker. Next section is very special. We have two speakers. One speaker, both of them, they're from Avery, Dennison. The first speaker is Kejin Zhang, Segment Manager, Home Personal Care ASEAN. The other speaker, her partner is Evelyn, Market Development Manager. And they will talk about the topic innovative and sustainable label solutions for the home and personal care market. Let me introduce the speakers one by one. First, Kejin Zhang, a graduate Bachelor of Engineering degree in Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering. Kejin has strong knowledge of pressure-sensitive labels and the industry. She's behind numerous new product development to support innovative and sustainable packaging ideas and labeling solutions for the industry. Next, I would like to introduce Evelyn. Considered one of the pioneers of RFID industry in Asia Pacific. Evelyn have 18 years of experience. Her experience including developing solutions for for customers with inventory assessed management challenges and creating brand equity in new markets. So, our next presentation has two expert speakers. Seize your great chance to ask questions to each one of them. They will present the latest label solution for the beauty and personal care market, and both are from Avery, Dennison. Let's welcome them to get online and have the presentation. And don't forget, always go to the online booth. Always prepare your questions to the live Q&A later. Okay, so ladies, you have the floor now.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kejin from Avery, Dennison. I'm the segment manager in charge of the home and personal care segment in ASEAN, and I am based in Singapore. It is my pleasure to speak with you today to introduce to you our innovative and sustainable label solutions for the beauty and personal care market. First and foremost, allow me to give a brief introduction about Avery Dennison. For those of you who don't know us, we have a history in pressure-sensitive labels for over 86 years. Our corporate headquarters is based in Glendale, California, and we are one of the Fortune 500 companies with a sales turnover of $7 billion last year. Within Asia Pacific, we have manufacturing sites in China, India, Korea, Thailand, and Malaysia, and we have distribution footprints in almost every country in this region. Before we get started, I would like to frame where Avery Dennison sits in the value chain. We buy face stocks and liners from paper and film manufacturers, and we coat them with adhesive in our plants. We produce the labels on big machines ranging from 1 meters to 2 meters in width, and we slit them down to smaller rolls before supplying them to the converters. The converters will then print and die cut the labels, and the end user or brand owner will apply the label on the containers, and ultimately the consumers will buy the product with the labels on it. When we look at the basic construction of a label, the first layer is a face stock, and that acts as a printable surface. Underneath that is the adhesive, where it is activated by applying pressure on it. The adhesive will create a bond between the label and the substrate. The last layer is a release liner, which has a layer of silicone coating on it, and the liner carries the label all the way through the end user, and it also serves as a base for die cutting. Let us first look at the overview of the beauty and personal care market in Asia to identify the growth opportunities and mega trends of this segment. And then we will look at how pressure-sensitive labels help to fulfill the needs of this market. I would like to first bring your attention to the graph on the left, which shows the projected growth in consumer spending from year 2020 to 2040. As you can see, Asia Pacific will become the fastest growing consumer market in the world. The key drivers for this growth are due to increasing population, urbanization, and strong income growth. And if we zoom down to the beauty and personal care segment, a lot of this growth will be contributed by China, Japan, and Indonesia, as well as from the other countries in ASEAN. Hence, it will make sense to be investing in these countries if you are looking to grow in the beauty and personal care market. We are always on the lookout to understand the mega trends driving the beauty and personal care market, so as to introduce new products and solutions to cater to the needs and trends of this segment. So here are 5 mega trends affecting the beauty and personal care market today. The first is digital living. And this is obvious as we see more and more consumers turning to online platforms to do their shopping. The second trend is rethinking wellness. And this is where we see more consumers reaching out for products or experiences that enhance their physical and mental well-being. The third trend is sustainable living. And needless to say, consumers today are putting more focus on sustainability, rewarding brands that do good for the environment and the society. Next is convenience. With the busy lifestyle that everyone is living today, it has pushed consumers to look for convenience in all forms. And the last trend is the search for experience. COVID-19 has accelerated the adoption of digital technology, and brands can utilize digital technologies to engage with consumers to enhance their experience with the brand and the product. So with this in mind, we have designed our product solutions to address the needs for this segment. Firstly, our range of sustainable labels will address the need for sustainable living, and our range of functional labels will address the various needs of packaging. We also have a range of label solutions for brands that are looking for the premium shelf appeal. And lastly, our portfolio on intelligent labels, which will be covered by my colleague later, is aimed at helping brand owners to discover new ways to utilize digital technology to engage with consumers and on inventory management. Our sustainability portfolio is umbrella under what we call as a Sustainable Advantage portfolio, and it consists of 4 main categories. The first is responsibly sourced. Here, we have a wide range of paper labels that are FSC certified. FSC stands for Forest Stewardship Council, and it is one of the most stringent and recognized certification available for paper material. The second category is on the reduction in material usage, which refers to our range of thinner labels. This has been the focus for the past couple of years as many brand owners look into down-gauging solutions to reduce their material usage. Using thinner labels also means that you get longer roll lengths, which improve productivity and give better freight outcomes. The third category consists of labels that contains recycled content. We see that there is more focus from brands on recycled content now because they can make a connection with the consumers by claiming that their packaging is using recycled content, and this is especially so for the containers. And it will only make sense for brand owners to pair their recycled content bottles with recycled content labels. Hence, for the label side, we have developed a portfolio of recycled content labels to go with it. The fourth category is on enabling recycling, reuse, and compostability. And this is where I want to spend more time today. We do have solutions that allow the recycling of glass, and we are also expanding our portfolio of compostable labels. But today, our focus is going to be on labels on plastic containers, specifically referring to clean flake and monomaterial solutions. Clean flake has been in the market for several years in the other region. It is an adhesive that enables PET bottle-to-bottle recycling. How it works is that when clean flake adhesive comes in contact with the hot caustic wash solution in the recycling stream, the adhesive will deactivate and the label will detach from the bottle, carrying the ink away with it. The label will float to the top of the process, leaving clean polyester flakes to continue through the recycling stream. Our clean flake solution adheres to the APR design guideline, where the label will deactivate and detach at 85 degrees Celsius in a 1% caustic solution. And this is the highest standard when it comes to labels for the recycling of PET bottles. The second solution is on monomaterial recycling. Due to the difference between HDPE and PET bottles, we can't utilize the clean flake technology that we just discussed in the previous slide for HDPE bottles. Hence, our focus on HDPE bottle is to make sure that we enable a monomaterial packaging. Our entire range of polyolefin films have been approved to meet the APR standard for HDPE recycling. This means that the labels can be recycled together with the bottle, and there is no impact on the physical property of the HDPE pellets and it can be reused back into the pigmented HDPE stream. We also offer this product on recycled content face stocks and liners. And not only on rigid plastic, the same can be applied on flexibles for reclosure wet wipes, where we can offer labels that give a mono-material outcome. So moving on, I would like to share with you our label portfolio that focuses on functional packaging. The first product is reclosure labels. Due to COVID-19, the demand for wet wipes products have increased as more and more people are cleaning and sanitizing their hands more frequently. And the same trend is also observed for disinfectant wipes. And typically, disinfectant wipes contain very high alcohol content in order to effectively kill off viruses. So the choice of the reclosure label for disinfectant wipes is very important, as it needs to be compatible with the alcohol content in the wipes. Avery Dennison offers a wide range of reclosure labels for the different wet wipes applications. And the difference lies in the choice of the adhesive, which plays an important role because they must provide a good seal to keep the wipes moist and still allow the smooth opening and closing of the label. And with sustainability in mind, replacing the hard plastic lids with reclosure labels can reduce the amount of plastic by 60 to 80%. In addition, our polypropylene and polyethylene reclosure labels can support mono-material packaging, which gives the overall packaging recyclable. The second product is a multi-layer label solution. As consumers, we want to know everything about the product before purchasing it. However, the amount of information that can be made available is sometimes limited by the size of the product. Hence, it is quite common for brands to adopt a multi-layer label solution where they can pack more information onto the labels to tell their story the consumers are looking for. We offer a broad range of filmic labels that is ideal for the multi-layer label application. However, I would like to specifically point out our latest launch of the PP40 thin film, which can easily substitute the current PP50 or PP60 labels that most brands are using today. The thinner 40 micron caliper can reduce the amount of plastic usage by 20%, and it still retains the opacity and stiffness required for this application. The third product in this portfolio is our tamper evident label. Currently, for the high-end cosmetic brands, tamper evident labels are commonly used because it serves as a form of guarantee to the consumers on the product purity and product authenticity. However, this should not only be limited for the high-end brands, because even for mass consumer products, using a tamper evident label can actually be a way for brands to premiumize their product and to differentiate from competition on shelf. Under this portfolio, we offer 3 distinct types of tamper evident labels depending on the needs and requirements. The first is a destructible film or paper, where the label will split or tear upon removal. The second type is a transferable void label, where the word void will be left on the substrate when the label is removed. And lastly, the third type, which is similar to the second type, is a non-transferable void. So instead of having the word void being transferred on the substrate, it will appear on the label when the label is removed. And these labels are highly customizable. So if you don't like the word void, it can be customized to reflect your company name or brand name instead. Moving on, the next portfolio that I would like to touch on is primarily focused on enhancing product shelf appeal. The main decoration technologies used for tubes today is direct printing. However, pressure-sensitive labels can be an alternative decoration technique for tube labeling. And the main benefit of using labels is that it offers a premium brand image, as the labels can be printed with many printing techniques before it is being applied. And secondly, You can work with smaller MOQs, shorter lead time, and allow for late-stage differentiation with labels. Therefore, labels will be the ideal solution for brands that would like to launch their products with multiple variants and SKUs. Polyethylene labels are found to be the most suitable for this portfolio as they are fully squeezable. And currently, we offer our PE labels in metallized, white, and clear, and they are also proven to work for the cream straw application. As consumers, we normally would scan through a product shelf and make a decision. I believe many brand owners will understand that such moments of truth might last just seconds. And this is why a packaging that stands out is very important. Hence, I would like to introduce to you our range of holographic labels which utilizes light reflection technology to attract consumers' attention for pure shelf impact. They are ideal for cosmetic products, new product launches, or promotional products, especially for festive season. And our standard range of holographic labels are available in 6 patterns, but we also offer customization upon request. The last product that I would like to share with you is our range of pop-up label solutions. Pop-up labels are very commonly used in the Asia market today. It is the easiest way for brand owners to make their products stand out on shelf. However, the most common pain point with pop-up labels is the tendency for the labels to curl or wrinkle during transportation. But this can be easily resolved by choosing the right label. Our pop-up label solutions are paired with polyester face stock with excellent price to value proposition. And the polyester face stock offers excellent stiffness and ensure no wrinkling or curling on the product shelf. Currently, we offer them in metallized, white, and clear. And I have now come to the end of my presentation. I hope that through my presentation, it has given you some new ideas to utilize pressure-sensitive labels to add value to your product packaging. I will now hand over to my colleague Evelyn, who will cover the intelligent labels portfolio. Thank you.
Thank you, Kejin, for the insightful presentation. The second part of our presentation will touch on the digital side of things, which I'm sure most of you would agree will be increasingly more important in the world we live in. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Evelyn Ong, and I am the Market Development Manager in Avery Dennison SmartTrack. My current role involves development and driving adoption of digital identification technologies in the beauty, food, and healthcare segments in APAC. I'm going to start the presentation with an acronym. This is because you're going to hear this 4-letter word very often in my presentation. This 4-letter word is RFID, and it stands for Radio Frequency Identification, and is the core technology of digital identification we are focusing on. In Avery Dennison SmartTrack, we believe that all items will eventually have a digital identity. It's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. Digital identification technologies will provide inventory visibility that can verify authenticity of a product, provide tracking information through the supply chain, and enable more interactive and richer consumer engagements. We also believe that this technology is very suitable and relevant for the beauty industry, and we will illustrate exactly why. RFID is commonly understood as a technology that bridges the physical to the digital world. One of the recent trends in the beauty industry is to transform beauty products and departmental stores into experience destinations. Consumers will go to the store to discover, try, and test products. Based on statistics from top 20 beauty brands, more than 90% of sales are from brick and mortar stores. However, this does not mean the online sales channels are not important. In fact, the trend is definitely moving towards online sales, which has further accelerated this last 2 years due to the pandemic. It does make a lot of sense for beauty brick-and-mortar stores to combine physical and digital inventories to enable omni-channel sales. Now, let's take a look at the current situation faced by many beauty retailers. On average, inventory accuracy ranges between 30 to 70%. This is shockingly low considering the high value nature of beauty products. If you do not have a clear picture of your inventory level, you run into the risk of stockouts and lost sales opportunities. In this business, we are dealing with high SKU count but low SKU depth, meaning we carry a small quantity of many varieties. We often experience a high shrinkage level, both from internal and external sources. Beauty products are also classified as low substitution, meaning if the store doesn't carry, say, foundation 02, I'm not going to purchase foundation 03 or foundation 04 because it's not suitable for my skin tone. I'll just walk out of the store empty-handed. All these 2 points prove that stockout situations are extremely detrimental to brands, and there's so much to gain if they have full clarity and visibility of their inventory situation. Based on multiple implementations that we have completed, statistics have shown that RFID improves store inventory accuracy up to 98%. Not only can it drastically reduce stockout situations and achieve higher revenue with higher conversion to sales ratio, this technology also provides an entire suite of added benefits. With full visibility of the high value inventory, brand owners do not need to overstock, which means lower holding costs, lower capital costs, and optimizing retail space for customer-centric activities. It is also possible to quickly identify near expiration products by waving an RFID handheld device in the store. The closer the device is to the near expiration product, the louder it beeps. The pre-RFID method of identifying manually by eyeballing and checking each product individually for its expiration date is a thing of the past. In addition to retail store level, there are also great benefits at the supply chain level. With full visibility of inventory movement throughout the supply chain, there will be less opportunity for diversion and counterfeit. Next, I'll be sharing a case study of a large beauty brand who implemented RFID in Latin America. Grupo Boticário is Brazil's second largest beauty supplier that has their own private labels as well as national brands. They have evaluated various technologies and concluded that RFID is the most suitable technology to transform their complex supply chain. Hence, in 2019, they started a small pilot with 4 stores. So far, the results have been astounding. In-store inventory accuracy increased from 43% to 98%. Stockout was reduced by 97%. I'm sure you would agree with me that these are huge numbers. Another upcoming popular use case is to leverage NFC technology for authenticity and enhance customer engagement purposes. NFC stands for Near Field Communication. The main difference between RFID and NFC is the device that is being used to read the information. RFID requires dedicated handheld readers, while NFC labels can be read with most of our recent smartphones. The ability for consumers to use their smartphones opens up so many possibilities in the B2C interaction. With NFC, consumers can use their smartphones to tap on the NFC label on a beauty product. Not only will the brands be able to push product and promotional information to the smartphone, the consumer can also verify if the product that they're about to purchase is authentic or near expiration. This is extremely valuable to brands who seek to deepen relationships with the customer. With NFC, brands are able to drive multi-layer experience and maintain connection with the consumers even after sales. So how does all this work? How is all this possible? And what exactly is RFID or digital identification? It would be difficult to have a conversation about digital identification without understanding the fundamentals of this technology. What is shown on the screen now is what we call an RFID inlay. This is simply a product that contains the essential components that enable information to be exchanged wirelessly and without the use of batteries. To give an item a digital identity or digital twin, as some other publications call it, it is necessary to attach an RFID inlay to the beauty product itself. The core components of an inlay are 1, the chip or IC, which means integrated circuit, 2, antenna, 3, base material. The most important component in this structure is the chip, as it contains the circuitry, the memory, and the intelligence to communicate with the devices. Antenna is then attached to the chip to extend the read range performance. And the base material is necessary to bind everything together. This does not contain any batteries, as it gets its energy from the radio waves emitted by the devices. With this simple knowledge of an RFID inlay, let's move a little bit further in understanding the broader picture of a typical RFID implementation setup. Here, you would also need a minimum of 3 basic components. Firstly, a RFID or NFC inlay, as described in the previous slide. This inlay comes in different shapes, different sizes, memory sizes, and can be hidden behind the product label or in the packaging box. Next, you will need a reading device to obtain the information stored in the chip. The picture on the left shows an example of such a reading device. And finally, you will need some form of software to link your existing ERP or to data mine to make the information useful for your purposes. It is the technology of choice for digital identification in many segments due to the unique features. Unlike barcodes, you do not need line of sight to identify the product individually. As this technology is energized by radio waves, signals are able to penetrate through product packaging such as carton boxes, resulting in the ability to read multiple labels in a very short period of time. And when we say short, we are referring to reading in bulk a few hundred items in a matter of seconds. To summarize, we are in the business of helping brands and corporations in digital transformation. We help bridge the physical and the digital gap by giving a digital life to your beauty products. This is the end of my presentation, and I hope you found it interesting and useful. If you would like to kickstart digital transformation in your organization, just reach out to us for a casual conversation. You might want to take a picture of this slide, which has our email addresses in case you need to contact us after this presentation. And with this, I'll hand it over to Jack for the Q&A session. Thank you.
Do you guys hear my voice? I think so. And Kejin and Evelyn, great presentations. I think the delegates asked many questions also. So now I'll move you to the Q&A platform right now, just for me. Just wait for me. Kejin, no. And Brandon, sorry, I have to move you out from the platform just right now. Okay. And Evelyn too? Yes. Please turn on your microphone and camera again and join our live Q&A session. Can you do that? Okay, great. I see you now, Kejin. And also your partners. Or maybe we can start from your questions first. Oh, hi, Evelyn.
Hi.
Hello,
Yes.
just say hi to
Hello.
and I'll platform to you first. Okay. Do you still remember how? Go to the right hand side. There's a Q&A mode, and I list already all of your questions related to your sessions. And yeah, maybe let's start from Kejin. Kejin, please pick the first question you would like to answer to delegates.
Sure. Okay.
Great. Let's use this one.
Yeah, so I read out the question. Can you explain in more detail how Clean Flake label helps in the recycling of polyester bottles? So yeah, actually this is one of the product that we actually mentioned during the slide earlier. So Clean Flake is actually an unique adhesive that allows the recycling of PET bottles, and it actually works based on two key principles. The first is that in the recycling stream for polyester bottle, one of the unit will actually cause the bottle to be subjected to a hot caustic wash solution. And when the label come into contact with this hot caustic wash solution, the adhesive will actually deactivate. So the label will actually lose its adhesion and it will peel off from the bottle. And once that is so, the labels being less dense than the water will actually float to the top, and polyester being denser will actually sink. So I do have a very quick demonstration of how this works. So I just wanted to show you the difference in density between the labels and polyester flakes. So I just do a quick shake over here. You can see the white labels are basically our labels using Clean Flake technology, and it floats to the top. And black flakes are basically polyester flakes, so they will sink. So through this difference in density, basically you can get very clean polyester flakes at the bottom, which can actually be used for recycling. So yeah, just a point to note, polyester typically are transparent. I purposely color it black for easy viewing. So yeah, that's I hope I answered.
That's very good. Let's go to the next one.
And so I saw this question on the low MOQ. I believe this is actually referring to tube labeling. So I just want to address that. When I see low MOQ, actually I'm actually comparing it with direct printing. So typically for direct printing, and not specifically referring to any printing technology. So typically for direct printing, the initial investment cost is generally higher, and hence there's a need to produce more products to cover the initial cost. So if you were to use a pressure-sensitive label instead, basically you can actually print a smaller amount of labels and apply it onto standard tubes that the tube manufacturer actually offer. So in a way, you can actually launch your product with smaller MOQ. So that's how it works. And that's all from my side. I will pass on to Evelyn.
Yes, we have two questions answered by Kejin. Now let's welcome Evelyn to find some questions to answer to delegates. Oh, that's Evelyn's question? Okay, great. Please move on.
Yes, how much improvement does QR code make for marketing? So I'm just going to assume that when the marketing mentioned here means promoting your brand and brand awareness, brand equity. So we are it's kind of difficult to answer this because we're not really in the business of QR code, but we do want to highlight the difference between QR code and NFC, because there are similarities between these two technologies. As in, you scan a QR code versus you scan an NFC label, you're able to the brand owners are able to push out information to the cell phone of the consumers. So that is very useful. And not only that, you're able to not only are you able to push information about the product, you're also able to lead them to social media pages, and you're also able to push out promotional information. But I do want to highlight one point is that on the QR code, there is still a difference between QR code and NFC labels. And this is one of the questions that we get very often as well, because a lot of after I presented this, a lot of them think that what is achievable using NFC can be achieved using QR code. So why would people want to get onto the NFC bandwidth? So I think the main difference between QR code and NFC is the security. So NFC label contains a chip. As I mentioned in my presentation, there's an integrated circuit that has all the digital circuitries and the memory size and stuff like that. QR codes can be easily copied. As you can tell, you can just photocopy QR codes and everyone can use it. So it's really not very secure if you're trying to protect your brand and you're trying to solve a problem of counterfeit or diversion. So NFC doesn't have that problem because each intelligent label would have its own chip, and the chip would have its own unique identifier. So it's definitely a much higher level security level. And the other plus point about NFC is, as I said, it goes through the radio waves. It energized by radio waves, and it can penetrate through packaging materials. So a lot of brand owners that we speak to do not want to use QR code because it's very unsightly. They spend a lot of money on the design, on the aesthetic of the labels, and they don't want an ugly QR code there. So that's where NFC comes in, because NFC can be hidden behind the label, or it can be hidden at the bottom of the bottle, or it can be on the top of the cap. So all these NFC labels can be hidden, which works out well for brands who are very sensitive about the aesthetic looks of the labels. And also there's a couple of other additional features of NFC. For example, you are going to go to a store, you want to buy expensive skincare. And the more times it's being tapped, the system will be able to capture. So this kind of information is not possible with QR code. But for NFC, if there is 10 customers who tap on that particular bottle of skincare and it's still on the shelf, it's not being sold. So, the system at the back end is capturing all this information. So it's actually very powerful.
I see.
Thank you.
Let's go to the next one. Yeah.
Okay. So let me see. Here. You mentioned briefly that the technology can be used to manage near expiration products. How does that work? Yes, I think I mentioned briefly about that. NFC is commonly used to manage near expiration products, not just in the beauty segment. We do that for the healthcare segment as well, because there's a lot of expiration date, expiration management for drugs, as well as in supermarket, because there's a lot of perishable items. So what that does is, if your product has an RFID label, you just need an RFID handheld device, and you just scan the shelf very quickly, just wave it around, and the system already knows which are the products that's going to expire soon. And when it waves, it's going to start beeping. So the closer it beeps to the range of products that's going to expire, the louder it is. So the store person will just narrow down the search to a smaller area instead of going one by one and checking the expiration date. Yes, so that's a very convenient way to manage the near expiration products. So what they do is, once they identify it, they will pull all this out from the shelf, and they will promote it, and they will try to sell it cheaper, just to make sure that it doesn't expire. That they're able to capture some sales revenue even before expiration.
Okay, that's great. So due to the time limitation, I have to say that might be the end of our live Q&A for today. Okay, so at the end, please do a short conclusion, maybe, to sum up your presentation, and also saying goodbye to delegates today, starting from Kejin. Okay.
Yeah, I think I will do the overall closing for both of us. So I think I just want to thank everyone for sitting through our presentation. I hope it has given you a very insightful overview of pressure-sensitive labels as well as RFID solutions. So I will drop my contact information in the chat box on the side. So if you would like to get a copy of the presentation, or if you have any further questions, you can always contact me or Evelyn directly. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. And Evelyn?
Thank you. Every Kejin rounded up very well. Thank you, everyone, for your patience.
Okay, great. Looking forward to see both of you attending our future events too, okay? For the next year, maybe next session, we will have the personal care event or any other, packaging event also. So see you guys in the future. Okay, delegates, also saying goodbye to Kejin and Evelyn now. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, delegates, I know that, we have a bit delay, right? Because our discussion in the live Q&A is really strong. I like the momentum. I like the power. So let's continue that. Let's move on to our next presenter. Okay, so the next presenter, allow me to introduce him to you. Luca Scapoli from KOSME. After a 15 commercial experience in aeronautical industry, Mr. Luca had been working in Cosmetic since January 2020. having a Master of Science in Aerospace Engineering. He is here to help Cosmetic excellence and capability in the HPC segment. The next presentation will provide an overview on available solutions for the production of personal care and cosmetic packaging. I'm sure that you will find these technologies interesting, and our speaker will be able to provide tips on how to maximize these available solutions. So let's hear it from Luca Scapoli, Head of Business Development HPC Market, Cosmetic SRL, as known as Krones Group. Okay, and delegates, don't forget, use the button online booth on the screen right now to get more information about Cosmetic, and also subscribe our YouTube channel and LinkedIn. So please be one of our followers. And also, don't forget, we will have Q&A followed in this session later. Okay, so now, Luca, you can have the floor now. See you guys later. Okay, it's me again. Because I have to introduce that Mr. Luca Scapoli is actually from Long Way Connection. So let's give him a few seconds. I'll show his presentation. I'll show his stage later to all of you. So please wait for me. Before I solve this problem, please let's enjoy a very informative video from the second speaker.
The Millad NX8000 family of products delivers exceptional clarity in polypropylene, energy savings, and a reduced carbon footprint. Compared to traditional clarifiers for injection molded polypropylene, Millad NX8000 offers improved aesthetics at significantly lower processing temperatures. This means shorter cycle times, more productivity, and lower energy costs. To discover how much energy you can save in your plant while achieving better clarity, Milliken designed an easy-to-follow trial process. For a correct comparison, it's important to provide all the reference data on the machine, part properties, and process settings. The trial itself is all about finding the perfect settings for maximum energy savings and high-quality results. First, run a batch of the reference resin using your standard settings. After purging the machine to avoid cross-contamination, run the resin clarified with Millad NX8000 using the same standard settings. Next, optimize the processing temperature by reducing the barrel temperature in incremental steps until the molded part is no longer acceptable or the measured resin melt temperature does not continue to decrease. Finally, optimize the cycle time, reducing the cooling time in increments until the molded part is no longer acceptable. Complete the settings of the Millad NX8000 resin. Collect samples of each step for analysis at the Milliken lab. Based on the new settings, energy cost savings can be calculated. In a final step, the Milliken lab experts will conduct a part analysis and prepare a full trial report, including energy consumption and cycle times for both resins, energy savings, CO2 reduction, haze reduction, and cost savings realized. Don't let today's challenges prevent you from achieving vital savings. Contact Milliken to set up your own trial. Join the ultra-clear way to go circular with Millad NX8000 by Milliken.
Thank you, Milliken, I have to say, providing this great informative video and sharing to the delegates. So let's welcome Mr. Luca Scapoli again. Okay, Mr. Luca Scapoli, you have the floor now. And guys, don't forget, prepare your questions and for the live Q&A later. See you.
Good afternoon to everybody. My name is Luca Scapoli, and I'm working in KOSME as a head of business development for home and personal care. Today, I'll try to provide you with a quick introduction of the portfolio and what we can offer for home and personal care market. Let's start. KOSME is part of the Krones family, along with a lot of other companies in many different sectors like digitalization, process technology, filling and packaging technology, intralogistics, and life cycle services. As a Krones family, we are almost 17,000 people employed, with 63 subsidiaries all around the world. This is very important because we can grant assistance and support in each part of the world. Referring to Krones Group, in 2020, we are talking about 3.3 billion euros in incoming orders and more or less the same in sales, with more than 6,000 patents and registered designs. Talking about KOSME, we have two main production plants. The first one is in Italy, where we produce fillers and labelers in Roverbella. And the second one is in Sollenau, Austria, when we produce stretch blow molders and seamers. KOSME is present in home and personal care market since 1982. We are specialized in medium and low speed that are typical for home and personal care market range. We have a strong experience not only for single machines, but also with complete lines. In that picture, you can see a sample of many different formats that we worked in our past project during years, because we understood the importance to different format, different caps, typical for home and personal care market. Let's start now to discover more in detail the portfolio of KOSME machines for home and personal care market. As I told you before, in KOSME Austria, we are producing blow molders. We have a wide range of different models, starting from linear machines, rotary ones, or compact solutions. You can see that we can work preforms and containers starting from 0.05 to 30 liters. In KOSME Austria, we developed a new preferential heating technology for rotary blow molders only. That is very important because compared to the more traditional pro-shape technology, in this case, with preferential heating, we can significantly reduce the operative cost of the production. In that case, we can manufacture oval PET containers that are very, very common in home and personal care market. talking about filling machines, KOSME can offer two different filling solutions. The first one is based on weight filling technology, and that's the weight fill family, where in our experience, it's the best one for home personal care and also cosmetics. That because with a new load cell, we have a very high precision and the possibility to certify the final weight of the container at the end of the filling process with no additional external scale. We can reach up to 30,000 bottles per hour as a production speed, working with containers starting from 15 milliliters of volume and managing product up to 90,000 centipoise. Each filling valve is equipped with a specific diffuser to reduce any kind of turbulence during the filling process. And each of them have the possibility to manage two-stage filling speed in order to have a gross flow from the first part of the filling process and a fine flow at the end of the process. The second filling solution that we can propose is the VoluFill family, based on volumetric technology. In that case, we can work containers starting from 30 milliliters, always up to 30,000 bottles per hour. We have, in that case, the same two-stage filling speed. This is based on massive flow meter for low conductivity product as well. And this is a tankless solution, so very easy to clean in order to avoid any contact during the filling process with between the machine and the container. This is an example of weight filling technology where we managed small container of roll-on deodorant with specific cap divided in three different parts. And as you can see, with weight technology, we filled accurately all the containers and then start putting the different phases of the three parts of the caps. Another important example of weight filling technology is on home care products. And so all the products where there is inside a percentage of chlorine. In that case, you can see that our machine is fully covered and protected with many different materials like titanium, alloy, PVC, or alar, depending on the specific part that will be protected. In that case, we protect not only the machine, but also we prevent the risk of gas infiltration, working under pressure. Another important and interesting aspect is that in case of failure of one of the filling turret, we can program the worm screw and the system in order to jump the position not working, and so completing the slot, the batch of production without stopping the line. Here in this sample, you can see also how we managed in the past a complete line with this specific and not easy to manage neck duct bottle. In order to put in this position, the specific position, the bottle to be filled, and then put again in the vertical and go away in the rest of the line. This slide shows how we can manage triggers, and so very common product in home care product. In this case, after the filling process, we have an accurate straightening of the straw and application of the trigger inside the bottle, and then the closing phase. In home and personal care market, we know very well how much is important any different kind of trigger, pump, dispenser. And that's the reason why we developed a specific solution to manage all of them. In the video, you can see a dedicated machine to manage specific dispenser in a specific line. Talking about labelers, KOSME has a large range of machines for labeling systems. We can start from a sensical linear and so self-adhesive labeler specific for low volume and slow speed. That is simple, cheap, and reliable, but can allow to work containers like the samples that you can see in the slide at the bottom, and so labeling on the top, at the bottom, or all around. Increasing the speed request, we can consider the Flexa Sensical rotative labeler. In that case, we have machine that can reach up to 35,000 bottles per hour. Short changeover time is the specific characteristic of that family of machines, and in many times is not required to change spare parts. In the video, you can see an interesting and dedicated application that we developed for a specific customer with the gentle handling of the container, because it was very, very important not to scratch the container. And so in that case, the container is lifted up, and it's managed working on the shoulder with this specific head, labeled and then put down in order to carry on in the production phase. In addition to the traditional single machines, KOSME has developed also compact solutions. Let's start with the 3-block family. It means 3 machines at the same time in a small footprint, locked all together and working in a synchronization without need of conveyors between them. In that case, we start with a blow molder, then we have a filler and a labeler, with the possibility of a CIP integrated system as an optional. In that case, we can reach 30,000 bottles per hour if base handling specific, or 18,000 bottles per hour in case of PET blow molder. That can grant, of course, a small footprint, saving of energy, and operator friendly, because it needs only one operator checking the line. On the other side of the slide, you can see the KOSME Synchro block. That means only 2 machines synchronized together, similar to the 3-block family. In both cases, we can decide to change the blow molder with an unscrambler. To complete the line, we can also offer depalletizer and palletizer produced and developed in KOSME as a homemade solutions, automatic and semi-automatic as well. The KOSME robot for palletizing is one of the latest solutions that we developed in order to support a full automatic palletizing system. This robot is able to manage also 2 different lines at the same time, and the interchangeable head has the possibility to manage different palletizing formats at the same time. In our line solution department, each time we develop a specific layout dedicated for each project in order to find the best solution that can match the available space. In addition to that, our R&D department has developed also many different solutions to save time and having a fast changeover. Like in this case, universal star wheels that can easily arrange and manage different format without changing stars or part in the line. And so with very reduced changeover time. Similar concept is for the universal grip coming from the beverage sector and adapted also for home and personal care specific format that can grip the container without changing parts and so saving time. Okay, here we are. So at the end of this quick presentation of the COSME portfolio for home and personal care. Just to quickly recap, I'd like to highlight some points and then show you a video that is very, very interesting and as a summary of our competence. So COSME is able to provide not only single machines, but also complete line, and so managing and taking care about the integration of the line. Blow molding for shape PET containers with a preferential heating technology. We can manage corrosion-proof filling equipment for high corrosive products, specific for home care products. We can develop also a gentle handling solution in order to manage all the containers that need to avoid any possible or potential scratch. We have fillers, labelers with different technology. We can manage multiple capping solutions, including also short and long stroke caps for the triggers. We have compact solution through the 3-block with blow molder or unscrambler. And so our solid experience worldwide and competence in engineering lines and providing along with the customer suggestions and finding the best solutions, we think is the added value that could decide definitely to choose COSME as a partner in your business. And consider that we carry on each month with a continuous innovation in research, investing people, money in order to test every day new solutions for home and personal care market. Now I'm going to start with that video, and I want to thank you very much. Here we start with the blow molding technology. Three-block, in this case, of course, without any conveyor needed. So also no paths, you can see. Both technology, weight and volumetric fillers available. Each kind of cap available to be managed. linear and rotative labelers, gentle handling of the container with dedicated head developed along with the customer, quality control systems, experience in complete line integration as well. And possibilities to add specific machines for end of the line, dry part with robotic arm, palletizer, and so on. Okay, so thank you very much for your time and your attention. Here you can find my contacts. Please feel free to call me or send me an email in order to further discuss about home and personal care, question, doubt, or information, video presentation, anything you can need. I'm fully available to support you directly or through our Krones subsidiary all around the world. Thank you very much again and have a nice day.
Hello. Hear my voice again? Okay, Mr. Luca, please turn on your microphone and camera. Again, I will move you to the Q&A mode session now.
Hello to everybody.
Hello. Do you hear my voice now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's move to the Q&A mode. Please go to the right-hand side. And on your right-hand side, there's a Q&A mode function, right? Please look at those questions. You can start from the first 2 to 3 questions to answer. Please try publish those questions. And also read the questions to delegates so they can always focus on the same question together.
Yeah, okay. Let's start. Okay, the first one.
I like that.
Yeah. Okay, what's the difference between Krones and COSME machines? Yes, because maybe someone could have a sort of confusion in his mind, because COSME is part of Krones family, and also Krones has a huge and large portfolio, complete portfolio in labelers, fillers, blow molders, palletizer, etc. So what's the difference? The main difference is that COSME inside Krones is specific for not only for beverage but for home and personal care. Why that? This because the COSME range of speed is up to 18,000 bottles per hour, more or less. Could be 18, 20,000 bottles per hour, but more or less this is the limit. And we decide to give to COSME this specific range of speed due to the past experience of the coming from the COSME history and tradition. And for further speed, Krones is more dedicated for its history. And so, considering that home and personal care market is focused on that range of speed, and so up to 18, 20,000 bottles per hour, COSME is the right partner for this kind of business. Please consider also that, for instance, in our filler machines and filler families, volumetric or weight filling technology machines, we 90% of the time in our machines we use Krones valves, and so the same technology, the same core the most important part of the machine, and so the filling valve is coming from Krones. And that's at the end the why we are part of the same family. We share this kind of market, and we use similar or the same technology.
Okay, let's go to the next one, if you're ready.
Okay, let's see. Yes, that's one that could be interesting. What about the KOSME technical support? Okay, this is very important because a customer, when decide which is the best partner assigning a project and having to choose among different competitors, one of the most important point is the after sales support and the technical support. How much it can be fast in response in solve problems, because we know very well that our customers, one of the main problem is when some trouble happens and the lines will stop. And so stopping the line means having unexpected costs. We, of course, always in any situation, we try to do our best to solve through our 24-hour technical support in collaboration with the customer, any potential trouble, if it is possible. In case the customer need a dedicated technicians from KOSME on site, we are always ready to respond and arranging the fastest trip to send our technician. And please consider that the fact that Krones has 63 subsidiaries or commercial offices spread all around the world. This is very important because if it's not available a KOSME dedicated product technicians on site, we can send, of course, a Krones technicians, because due to the fact that our machines and technology are very similar. And so 80-90% of the time, also Krones technicians is able, because has studied, of course, our machines, and is able to solve the trouble with the customer. Otherwise, for a specific project or particular lines, the only solution is to plan a KOSME technician trip to the customer directly.
Okay, let's move on. I think we still have time to answer one or two questions.
Yeah, let's see. Okay. With KOSME blow motor, is it possible to blow recycled PET? Yes, we can do that, of course. As I mentioned in the presentation, KOSME blow molders are manufactured in the facility in Austria, along with the seamers for cans. And we have a huge department studying virgin plastics or recycled plastic feasibility and application in our blow molders machines. And so I can say that yes, we can do that with, we can work preform full recycled or with a different percentage of virgin and recycled plastic without any kind of problem. We already had a lot of experience in that, and we well know that the market, the trend in the future is going toward that direction. In addition, I would like to add one very important information that maybe I didn't mention in my presentation, is that in our department in Austria, we have dedicated designers ready to support for each new project presented by a new customer, a new potential customer, in order to help the customer to find the right shape and workable shape with our machines for their containers. And so we put free of charge, of course, starting from in a new project. We put the customer in contact with our design department and development, and they all together can start working maybe in a new shape that could be feasible and workable in our machines. And so the customer can say, I need a specific form like this, shape like this, because my customer is used to recognize a specific shape, or our marketing need to put on the market a specific shape. And working together at the beginning of the phase, the early phase of the project, we can design also or modify already existing shape, or design a brand new one without any trouble. And in my past experience, I saw very interesting project that came on working together with very interesting results.
That's very interesting. If you have some samples on your hands, it'll be good too. Okay. So maybe the next question could be our last one. So pick the next very interesting one.
Yes. Okay. Let's try. I don't remember if that was meant that this machine, it was referred, I guess it was referred to the 3-block and synchro block machines, because are maybe something more specific or not so ordinary. Of course, to provide a number is very difficult, because it depends on many different factors. What I can say, comparing to a traditional 3 single machines, and so connected with conveyors, and a 3-block solution with the same category of machines, and so I'm thinking a blow molder or an unscrambler, a filler, and then a labeler. Using the 3-block, of course, you can save space because you have a reduced footprint. You can save energy. In our experience, we discovered more or less from 20 to 30% of energy saving using compact 3-block solutions instead of a traditional line. And the overcost to having a compact machines, and so 3-in-1 synchronized, so the overcost is compensated by saving the cost of the conveyors connecting the 3 machines. So more or less the initial investment is more or less the same, but you have a cost saving during operations up to maximum 30%. And so energy, space, and of course you need only one operator checking the line instead of many 3, 4, or more.
I see. Okay. So I would like to ask Mr. Luca Scapoli, are you connecting to us from Italy, right?
Yes.
So delegates, despite the long distance and the great time difference, I have to say, thank you, Mr. Luca Scapoli, for attending our event. And I like your presentation a lot, and like especially those videos. I think that was very good. So at the end of the presentation, please make a short conclusion to sum up your presentation, and also saying goodbye to delegates.
Okay, no, thank you to you and all the delegates for that possibility to present our portfolio in a very quick and short way. And so please, for any potential questions or new project, or only simple curiosity information, please contact me without any problem. I'm very happy to reply to your questions, or asking or talking with you about anything you may need, new projects and so on. Thank you very much again.
That's great. So delegates, we also please show your support to Mr. Luca Scapoli for his great presentation. Very insightful, right? So see you in our future events. I hope so. And yeah, despite the time difference, I really do hope I can still see you in our future events. Looking forward to see it. Okay. So
Thank you
bye-bye.
very much.
Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, attendees. Great. I like to see that you're saying thank you and showing your gratitude and support to Mr. Luca. Now, since it's the end of our presentation, yeah, it's a long time. It's a long day, but I believe that we all learned a lot, right? So as we wrap up this virtual summit, Ringer Events would like to thank all of you who registered and joined us today. We hope that the presentations will be useful in your operations and will give you valuable information on how to further improve the packaging for your products. If you have any further questions, please contact us, contact our speakers by email, or you can email us, email Ringer Events, so we can forward your questions to them. And also, if you have any, questions or any comments to us, we would like to make it better for you. So on the screen now, in the chat box, my assistant also leave many time already. Please fill in our feedback form. So leave your question or leave your comment, leave your opinions to make our event better for you. And we can make the topic or the theme is more of your favor. Okay. So here in the screen, in the chat box right now, Mr. Luca Scapoli also leave his contact information. So copy that right away. So welcome any further information, any further discussion with Mr. Luca Scapoli. Okay. And then I'll leave this in the chat box right now. It's from me, from Jack. Ringer Events would like to invite you to our future events too. You can find a list of our upcoming events at www.ringerevents.com. Again, thank you and have a nice day. But before that, I would like to show you the very, very near our future event, which is related to this personal care summit today. Please look at on the screen right now. In next coming year, in the next coming January 12, 2022, we have a virtual conference called co-host with Siemens. Siemens will have a title, Trustability and Insights with a Connected Supply Chain. This event is very special, focused on the Bahasa delegates too. So we have a Indonesian language picture of it. Somehow we don't have the registration link now, but we are sure that gonna have this event. So please follow Ringer Events LinkedIn page and also our Ringer Events website to looking forward to see you attending this Siemens event. Cooperate with organized with Ringer Events too. So I'll see you in the future events. This is Jack from Ringer Events. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye-bye.